like this whole conversation between us that happened behind the scenes was actually prompted because of the astrological transits.
Okay.
Right? So there was a date, a particular date, where you sent me a voice note and you started talking about a concept, a shift in collective energy. And I had just a little nudge to check the astrological alignments on that day.
Yeah.
And when I went and had a look, there is a really significant alignment of the outer planets that's happening over 2025 and 2026. So I feel like astrology is a good place to start. Let's talk about the massive astrological shifts that have happened over 2025.
Huge. And I'm not even into astrology,
Yeah.
which is why I love talking to you, because you bring the technical of what's actually happening to the feeling,
Yes.
which is so insightful and completely different to how a lot of people think about how they live their life.
I just feel like if you scroll through Instagram, like as we all do, all you see is it's Scorpio season, it's a full moon, it's a new moon. And it's really hard to convey a lot of information in an Instagram post. But unfortunately, the issue with that and all of the astrology that we consume is via Instagram. And it's really hard to look at the big picture. And I'm very big picture most of the time. And I feel like we need this kind of format to dive into how significant 2026 is going to be on an astrological level, which then will take us into the collective shifts in consciousness and how the astrology, I feel like astrology is a good foundation for anything, right?
Yes.
So I'm just going to dive in. Astrologically, in 2025, every single one of the outer planets, so the outer planets being Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they all shifted signs. And it's really significant that they shifted signs all they're all moving in an 18-month period. So they're all shifting forward into a new sign and then retrograding back and then shifting for good in 2026. In 2025, we experienced a taste of the new energy as they moved into the new sign that they're moving into, all of which are air and fire, which is interesting that you're talking about the fire horse, and out of earth and water. So it's a shift from earth and water to air and fire.
Amazing.
Primarily. And so what happened in 2025 is they all moved into the early degrees of their new signs, and then they've all retrograded back. And so we got this little taste, this little kind of dress rehearsal of what the energy feels like. But in 2026, they're all moving. And the reason why it's so significant is because, for example, Saturn's orbit is 29 and a half years. Like we know our Saturn return takes 29 and a half years to get back to the same position in the zodiac as where it was when you were first born. So that's its orbital period. And Saturn, and then we go out beyond there and we go to, say, Neptune, and it's even longer. So Pluto is 248 years. So in our lifetime, Pluto won't even go, we won't have a Pluto return. No. Uranus is 84. I'm going to mess this up off the top of my head. Neptune is... going to mess that up too. 84 and 164 or something around there.
Yeah.
So the fact that they take so long to go through the entire zodiac, let alone just one sign, the fact that they're all moving into new signs in an 18th month period signifies astrologically that we're moving into a new era. Every time a planet moves, so when Pluto moved into Capricorn at the beginning, Pluto moved out of Capricorn into Aquarius at the beginning of 2025. I think January 2025 it moved into Aquarius for good. We started to see a shift. And the type of shift, to kind of begin to answer your question about collective consciousness shifting, is things like AI. So as soon as Pluto moved into, and we got a taste of it in 2024, and then it moved back into Capricorn and then back into Aquarius. But Pluto in Aquarius is very AI. And that is why we've had this emergence of AI and technological change. Aquarius is very much the sign of the humanitarian, and it's the sign of future thinking. So it's like we're all shifting yes, technology is shifting, but our inner technology is also shifting. And I see that really significantly. Aquarius is the last air sign of the zodiac, and it's very much about, it's almost like the superhighway of ideas. It's like what's next? It's the inventor, it's the genius archetype, which is very cool and very exciting for people like us who have Aquarian placements.
Yes. I love it when things are moving forward. And I have seen that quite apparently with all of my clients in this year. You know, at the beginning of the year, like I said, you know, there was this dissolve of, what would you say, karmic kind of loops. Like there was just this complete shedding of information, and people were coming in and it's like, what's next? I feel like something's coming, like get me ready. And that's been happening all year to the point now everyone's like, okay, I'm tired.
Yep.
Give me some rest. So they know, they're walking in and they're like, I know something's coming or something's changing. When you're talking about that inner technology, their things are starting to come online. Their spiritual gifts or their psychic clairvoyance or their clairs.
100%.
Everyone, like you would not think it. Everyday people coming in, it's like I am educating and showing them how to use their innate technology.
It's so exciting.
So exciting.
Yeah. So this is exactly the type of thing that is going to continue to happen as we all kind of move up like a level of consciousness. Ordinary people that haven't, you know, ever looked at themselves as having any sort of spiritual gifts will start to see that. And I love that you're like working in such an intimate way with clients and you get to see that firsthand.
Oh, it's amazing actually, because I've only started this journey a couple of years ago and everything has come on. Well, I think I've always been like this, a psychic medium, whatever you want to box it as. You know, it wasn't turned on. Like the switch got turned a few years ago. And the incredible thing is that's happened for me so quickly and so recently that I get to share that with people where it's coming online this year and will be expanding next year and forever from this point. Their skills are coming on very quickly, very hard, and they're not actually understanding that that's a clear skill. They're like, oh, you know, the first question I ask is, do you have very good intuition? Because that's the baseline, isn't it? Yeah. Everyone talks about intuition, the gut feeling, like what drives your decision making. And I can genuinely say probably 99% of my clients are like, yeah, I have really good intuition. And so we start having that conversation around how they tap into that, because really they're developing that. It's coming online. It's ready. It's ready in the clients that I'm seeing. And like I said, they're just everyday people.
Yeah.
Regular jobs, regular lives, kids, you know, sometimes not kids, all the things.
And this is the shift that I think is happening, and this is why we need support like yourself, like working with energy practitioners or whoever it may be to help us identify what's going on inside of us. And because it can be so subtle. Like gifts, when you think about somebody who's psychic, you kind of think that they like see everything in you know, bright color, but it's not necessarily like. Intuition can be so subtle.
So subtle. And
so I think you helping people in that way is so, so important. But then also having conversations like this where we can talk about, that's kind of why it feels important to me to talk about the massive shifts that are happening and how it is going to affect people both on the collective stage and the personal stage, because it helps us to recognize within ourselves, oh, that's why I feel like this. Yes. Oh, that's why all of a sudden me doing business in the way that I used to do business isn't feeling right anymore. Correct. Why don't I want to do it like that anymore? This is why.
Yeah.
And so with the spiritual gifts, I kind of want to talk to the shift in Neptune moving from Pisces, which is its home sign, into Aries. So Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. Aries is the first.
Okay.
So Neptune, the planet of the natural ruler of Pisces, is moving out of Pisces, where we were kind of for the last 10 or so years I feel like there was a spiritual movement that happened in that time, but all of our spiritual practices were very lofty and kind of not grounded.
Yes.
And what Neptune moving into Aries is, the words that came to me when I tuned into this energy was the personification of our dreams. Because
that's incredible.
Neptune represents our hopes and dreams. So it's like what we dream, what we vision for ourselves. It's like our connection to source, to oneness, to our soul, to anything that is beyond time and space. And given that it was in Pisces for the last decade or so, it means our dreams have kind of lived in that realm of not possible, or just the dream realm.
Like fantasy, really.
Exactly right. And fantasy is the perfect word for Pisces and Neptune, because that's exactly what it represents.
I know this because I'm a Pisces.
You do know it well.
Constant fantasy land,
100%.
daydream.
Love it. I love it.
I've got all the ideas.
Daydreaming. This is perfect. So yeah, it was like a daydream. It's like I have these hopes and these wishes and these goals, and I have this vision for this business that I want to create and something like that, but it's not felt grounded. It's not felt possible or realistic. And we've also had Saturn moving alongside Neptune. Saturn moves much, much faster than Neptune. So it's been in Pisces for approximately 2.5 years. But interestingly enough, Saturn and Neptune are both going to be moving in, crossing the threshold into Aries at exactly the same time in February next year.
These were the dates that I was asking you about.
That's
I'm
right.
like, I keep getting downloads like February. And now, because I know, you're an astrologer and I'm connected with you, I'm like, what's happening in February?
February is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's because of that. And so it's like Saturn gets a bad rap.
Okay.
Saturn's like kind of the taskmaster of the zodiac. Mm-hmm. And when we think about, like I mentioned before, our Saturn return, we think about being initiated and lessons, but it is about self-mastery, and it is actually about practicality and reality, and it's a very grounded energy, and it's bringing things into tangible, into real life. And so when it's moving with the planet of our hopes and dreams into the first sign of the zodiac together, and they're holding hands literally on the 19th or the 20th of February, depending on where you are in the world, they will be at 0 degrees of Aries and 44 minutes together. Exact. And this is like the reset point for humanity. Like it's almost like we get to kind of go press the reset button and enter a new era with that energy. Yeah. And so in 2025, what it might have felt like for the individual, like on an individual level, could be that you've had glimpses of like this big vision of your business. I know you and I voice all the time. It's like, I can see this vision. This is what I want it to look like. But then you have days where it's almost like you fall asleep completely and you've forgotten it. Mm. And that's that kind of murky Pisces energy. It's like you daydream about it, but then you get dumped back into reality basically, and you forget and you fall asleep and you wake up and you fall asleep, and that's the process. And there's a reason for that as well, which we can talk about. But in 2026, we get the opportunity with this energy to actually bring our dreams into reality, to actually do the thing that feels so impossible and do it. And 2025 has been kind of like the training ground for that.
Yeah. I actually feel like and we haven't discussed this before in any of our conversations, but you said, I think it was Neptune and Pluto maybe, or Neptune and Saturn were coming together about 2.5 years ago. Yeah. But that's when I started this journey.
Yeah.
And it's just clicked with me like maybe I'm made for this. Mm. I've started this journey from that point. And that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be starting not 20 years ago, like some spiritual leaders have been. A lot of people have been on this rise for consciousness, collective consciousness for some time. They've been working in this industry, like doing it hard for a very long time. And for those alignments to be happening only 2.5 years ago, and like I said, there was literally a switch in me that turned it on. It's like, yeah, there's a new wave coming through. We don't have to fight the battles around alternative thinking, alternative living, alternative being as hard as what the originators were, you know, even 100, 200, 300 years ago when the theosophical texts were written, longer even. You know, you think tarot was so woo-woo back then. But, yeah, now it's like something has definitely shifted to make it in flow. And then I'm excited to see what February brings when it goes, we're in Aries now. Let's just like breeze through and not have to fight so hard for what that means.
Yep. I love that you brought that forward. I think it's a really beautiful point. It's almost like spirituality has come forward, and the way we all operate and connect has kind of, I feel like the foundations have been laid, because it's like on Instagram, if you're a spiritual person, most of the accounts that you follow are, you know, of astrologers or human design or psychics or whatever it might be. And we all kind of see it every day, and it's become somewhat normalized.
Correct, yeah.
But I think that's only I think it's the bare minimum.
Correct.
Yeah, which is the point that you're making.
Exactly.
And from here, that actually gets to be embodied.
Oh, love that.
And lived.
Yes.
And it's not just like reading a spiritual quote and reposting it and then going back and living this mundane 3D life. Yep. From this point on, the shift is that we actually become more spiritual than human. I mean, we're all spiritual and human at the same time, right?
Yes.
But we get to operate in a more connected way.
Correct.
Yes.
That's so cool. And I think that's the journey that I've been on in the last 2.5, 3 years, where I was we talk about masculine and feminine energy for me all the time because, you know, that's a whole nother conversation, but it really is the feminine in that embodiment with spirit, and the masculine, which is the 3D to do. We are now getting to merge those two energies and, like you say, full embodiment to go, I still am a human being trying to ground and live life on earth, which actually is a beautiful thing, mind you. And I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we do here. But there's so much more around us that, you know, the signs that we get, like so many people are like, oh, I saw angel numbers, or I saw, you know, the feathers or the birds, or all of, you know, whatever breadcrumbs they get through life. And then that's the gut feelings. It's like if you're not seeing things, you're not open to that, but you get that gut feeling. It's like, no, I really shouldn't do that. And you go and do that thing and it doesn't turn out very well. And you're like, oh, I knew that the whole time. Why didn't I listen to myself? It's like we're embodying now that gut feeling and finding that resonance in the body to be like, what's a yes and what's a no, and trust that instinct, and then bring on all the other powers that come on top of just that one instinct. It's so cool.
Yeah, I think that you're 100% spot on. And I'll sort of say what I said again, which is that what will happen from this point on is that 10 times, 20 times, and we'll just be operating on this higher level. I think it comes down to being connected to your body. And although that sounds like a paradox when we're talking about being connected, I think it's both. And I think a lot of your work and a lot of what you've taught me actually in working with you is about connecting to my body and what the signs and how to, what my body is showing me.
To interpret it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because we are still human, connecting and getting signs, and it does come back down to that. Before we go into, I feel like we could go down a rabbit hole here. But before we do that, I just want to wrap up the astrology conversation.
Right.
And essentially what's happening and what has been happening, what happened in 2025 in August that I mentioned earlier, was angles in astrology are really important. And so Pluto in Aquarius was at 1 degree of Aquarius. And this was when Neptune was at 1 degree of Pisces. And Uranus has moved into Gemini. And Uranus was at 1 degree of Gemini. So Pluto and Gemini were making a trine. And in between that was Neptune and Saturn at 1 degree of Aries. So it's kind of making this like 120 degree angle and this 60 degree angle, this weird kind of triangle. And the triangle is very important because it's the way that these planets are communicating with each other, and it's all of these energies combined. So the Aquarian energy, the Gemini energy, and then this Aries energy. And what happened in 2025 is they all moved into their new signs and they made this angle, and we kind of got like a jolt of the energy. And then they've all retrograded back into their previous signs. And it might feel like, particularly on the world stage, that things have kind of been crazy and like feel worse than ever on some levels in terms of global events and things like that, which are quite scary. However, it's almost like, because a lot of the planets now are sitting at the 29th degree of the previous sign, and they're kind of hovering around. Neptune's currently at 29 degrees of Pisces before it moves back into Aries in February for good. And so that's kind of that's the critical degree of that last sign of the zodiac. And so the energy that's coming out of that is like the final play out of what needs to be looked at and dealt with. And so on the world stage, it might look crazy and chaotic, but when it moves forward, we're going to get a sense of balance again. And it could be a little bit chaotic for a few years, but I'm not a mundane astrologer, so I'm not about to make any predictions. But I think on a personal level, things can feel really confusing right now and not clear. However, when they all shift signs, particularly on February the 20th or 19th, when that critical degree of Aries, it's actually called the world point, which is that 0 degree of Aries where Neptune and Saturn hit, and it's that reset button. And then Uranus in April will move into Gemini for good, and Pluto's already in Aquarius for good. And then come July, I believe it's the 18th of July, they all make another one of that exact triangle, but this time at 4 degrees of their signs. So it's like this energy, we've felt it, and then it's all gone back, and then we're going to feel it all again. Does that make sense? I'm just kind of trying to paint the picture. You want to just for a sec drop in here what it is that you do. So you are a psychic.
Yes.
You're a kinesiologist, quantum kinesiologist.
Yes.
Is that what we call you?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a standard type of kinesiology, where you're going to a chiropractor and it's the physical type of kinesiology. I would say it's more of a quantum kinesiology, where it sits outside, it sits within, it's just fully embodied. I work in a hybrid. I use the kinesiology as a structure because I like structure, because I have the possibility to go down rabbit holes a lot of the time. So my client sessions would be 5 hours long if I had the opportunity. But I use my connection to source energy, my ability to connect to individuals and their energy and their guides to customize an energy session for them, to remove whatever they need to remove. The way that I kind of explain it on the simplest terms is, you're standing outside of a house and then you've got your front door. Sometimes we just got to remove the junk to even get into the house, and then you're exploring all the doors to, open the house up to live in. I have a lot of people coming to me and they don't even know why they come to me, but they come out and they're like, I needed that. And I think this is kind of the new way, isn't it? Sometimes we don't know exactly what we need. And when you have no limitations on time, space, dimension, then you can go wherever you want to go, clear whatever you need to clear, and embody what you need to embody. And through that, the messages come through as well to be like, okay, this is your next step forward. Because I think a lot of the time we live every day and we're not quite sure of the next step. You're talking about this Pisces dreamy kind of thing, and you've got all these hopes and dreams and these thoughts and aspirations. It's like, yes, my business, I want to do this, or my life, or I want to have children, or I want to meet the person I want to meet, all the life things. But you're like, how do I actually get that? people talk about manifestation a lot. And I guess I do work in that space a little bit, but not, in just think about it and you want practical tools to be like, okay, what has actually been happening with me so I can understand it, learn the lesson and move past that. And then you also want to be given a practical tool to go, what's the next step? What do I do next? There's the set of stairs to take me up, but I don't know how to move my leg to get onto the step to move it. So really my work is around supporting people, trusting their instincts, giving them a couple of next steps to get them on the way to create what they want to create, whether that's in work, business, themselves. Yeah, I mean, it's on all different levels. Yeah. So it's quite beautiful.
I think that in itself is a major code for essentially why we're talking about all of this today. The title of this series is The Emerging Mystic. And to me, embodying, being the embodiment of who we want to be. So essentially operating in a way where we are living from the inside out. And I feel like that's what you do beautifully is guide people back to themselves so that they can essentially operate with an inner knowing and guidance system and connecting to their gifts, which is what astrology does as well, which is why I feel like our work is so complementary.
So good.
Because ultimately, I feel like any practitioner that we're going to be working with in the new paradigm or from now on should be, I don't like the word should, but should be guiding you back to yourself and you not going outside of yourself for answers.
Yep.
I kind of feel like I had an initiation in this recently, which was as an astrologer reading someone's chart, I used to feel like I had to give them answers. Like they were coming to me and they needed answers. And I don't feel like I've moved into a place now where I don't feel like that's my job. Yes, I'm there to reflect back the energy of your chart. And again, it's like the big picture thing, like hold up a mirror and show you all parts of you so that you can move into that embodied state and accept all parts of you. And so you're no longer looking outside of you for all the bits, for the answers. And looking outside of you for what's right for you. Like, is this the sort of business I should be running, or is this the certification I should be doing, or is this the job I should get? And it's more about what feels right for you and creating from that place. And it kind of comes from the very foundation of this work and us operating in new consciousness, new human, new paradigm, whatever word you want to put there. The foundation of that is having a solid connection to the self.
It's so true.
Whether it's through your chart, and the personality, although I don't really see astrology as telling you your personality, it's more about a roadmap to your life and your essence. And then your work is, clearing out things and getting them reconnected to themselves and to their essence. It's almost the same thing.
It is.
Right?
Essentially it is. And when you're saying that not having to go outsource, you come back inwards, that is exactly what it is. You're clearing the chaos. You're clearing the fuzz, you're clearing the static and the noise to be like, how do I connect inwards? To just listen for a moment. It doesn't take a long time. And, I'm a busy person. We're all busy people, right? And one of the things I do talk about a lot in session is doing things as quick as possible to get the best result. There used to be a time where meditations would be like an hour. You would spend a lot of time meditating to get to the information. We can have mini meditations every day. Like you talk about this, you're like shower time is like my meditation time for what needs to get done for the day, or how do I embody myself today, or, it doesn't need to be a long thing. I do it every morning when I wake up. I teach this to my clients a lot, hand on the heart. It's an old Reiki technique where you work with your heart, you're going up and down. So it's just being in gratitude and connection with self. And it takes me 2 minutes. No one knows I do it. Well, they do now. And it's just 2 minutes of quiet, 5 minutes of quiet, 10 minutes of quiet to just sit and listen, remove a little bit of the chaos and mess that's happening. And, you know, when we're talking about getting to that place, I still go and seek support from other people to help me on my journey because I'm one person. I'm not fully connected with the divine in, you know, every aspect. But now I am a little bit more discerning around who I know I'm going to get the result from that I need at that particular point in time. Because there's not just one answer to getting to the result. But I think for me now, and I know probably for you, you're not wasting as much time searching for all the things. You're like, okay, I spend primarily a lot of my time within myself, asking myself first, looking for the crumbs that have been given to me before I go, okay, let's decode what that is and then move forward with what I do. Instead of just moving forward and then coming back, it's like, oh, all the crumbs were there leading me to a different direction the whole time. So it's kind of fast tracking it in a way, yeah, which is cool.
I actually, and this kind of brings me to talking about the emerging mystic and the whole concept. The way I would describe the emerging mystic is that she is an archetype of the new paradigm. And she kind of represents everything that we will be moving toward when these shifts happen through 2026 and 2027 and beyond. And I feel like what you're saying about seeing the breadcrumbs and like the threads of life, how I'm in such a place at the moment where I've realized that life is guiding us. And I know that sounds really like, we know this, right? We know this.
It's so true though. It takes you a full loop to come back to that point.
it's like, it's every day, and it's in the most simple practices that you're just talking about. It is in my conversation with the divine in the shower every day. And this is the new way of operating. And when I sit here and there's so many places I could go with this. We look for our purpose outside of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We look for our purpose. We think that we have to go and get a certification over here. Like I was a kinesiologist as well. I've been a kinesiologist. I've done Pilates reformer training. I've been a whole food chef. I was a hairdresser when I was 18. I have got a marketing background. You name it, I've done it. I've worked in sales. I've had so many jobs. Ridiculous. Yeah. But if I go all the way back, and the point of this story is to share with you the threads of my life that I can now see, right? If I go all the way back to, I think I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I said to my mum, I want to be a hairdresser and have my own salon when I get older. And she was like, great.
Awesome.
That's a great goal to have, sure. We'll get you a shop and we'll get you all set up.
Yeah.
And I knew that from a very young age. I kind of had this like entrepreneurial seed within me. Mm-hmm. And then I went through school, and it was a paradox because I have a Libra moon and I really wanted to be accepted and be a good girl and do well in school and then follow the traditional path and do all the things, right? Get a job or whatever it was. But the fact that that little 8-year-old or 9-year-old said that she wanted to start a business was like the first kind of seed, and that's where the thread started. And then I went through school and I was like, I used to sit in class and when they were teaching what they were teaching and just think, this doesn't seem right. Why am I writing down these really complicated maths equations? Like, does anyone actually use these in real life?
Probably astrophysicists, but you know, they're few and far between.
Exactly right. And I was just like, why does this feel so boring and mundane to me? Can't we, like, why aren't we creating things and doing all the things? It just felt off. And then anyway, I did end up leaving school in year 11. I didn't do year 12. Okay. And I said to Mum, I want to do hairdressing. So I did it. I left school at 16 and I did a hairdressing apprenticeship for 5 years. Yeah. I did the apprenticeship for 4 years and another year before I got sick of it and changed. And I got out into the workforce and worked as a hairdresser for a few years and then went into like office jobs and office management and things like that. And I was like, oh, I don't like this either. And then I moved into something else and something else and something else, to the point where I thought that there was something wrong with me because nothing felt right. Yeah. I didn't know. I was like, there must be something wrong with me. Why can't I feel content in any of these jobs? To the point where I worked my way up as a 30-something-year-old and had what was my dream job on paper, which was a brand manager for a health food company. And it was my dream job for a couple of years. I was like, this is the best. But getting there every day on the 45-minute long commute and driving into the office, sitting under the fluorescent lights in somewhat of a cubicle. I mean, it was a cool office, but somewhat of a cubicle. It was like the corporate stereotype job, right? It still wasn't, it was private, it was a family owned, so it wasn't super corporate, but it still had those elements to it of working in a big place and the structure and the other humans that you had to interact with and
functioning.
There was still something wrong. And I still used to drive to work every day and listen to inspirational spiritual podcasts and just think, I don't want to do this. I'm in my dream job, but there has to be something more than this. Why doesn't this feel right? And so looking back now, there was this thread, right? And then I worked in that office job until I was pregnant with my first baby, my son. And unfortunately, the company turned in a direction that wasn't no longer family friendly and happily owned. And they went big, they went global, and it turned into money and all the things. And it was a toxic environment. It turned toxic, and I knew that I didn't want to be there, but I just knew that I needed to get to my maternity leave and then I would do something else. So I started studying kinesiology in the background. It's like, I want to do something. I'd been seeing a kinesiologist for 3 years, and she'd helped me to reconnect with myself, which is what I love about kinesiology. Cleared out all of the limiting beliefs and all of the blocks and all the things. Anyway, long story short, I went on maternity leave and I ended up getting breast cancer. When my son I got diagnosed when he was 6 weeks old. And I've realized that that's how wrong being in that job was for me. It was so wrong on every level, and I knew it in my being, but I wanted to make it work. I felt like I had to make it work, because if this job didn't work, then what else was I going to do?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I have to go and start my own business. So I started studying kinesiology, and then I moved into the kinesiology business, and it was like, you have to have an Instagram. You have to post every day. You have to tell people what kinesiology is and what energy is and why you work, and you had to put your face and take a photo of you in the clinic. And this was what my mentor used to say to me. I was like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I don't like Instagram. If I didn't have a business, I wouldn't have an Instagram. And I don't have an Instagram at the moment. I've got a dormant one. But Which I
still look at now and be like, come on, Tara, when are you coming back?
My point is that I moved from what felt wrong in having a job into having a business, and it still felt wrong because there were still all these rules in how I had to show up. And it was the protocol that I had to follow in kinesiology, and it was this business structure where I had to see back-to-back clients in order to have a successful business. And I had to have a certain number of followers on Instagram. And it was the same as climbing the corporate ladder, but it was the entrepreneurial online business success ladder.
Because it's cut, copy.
It's cut, copy.
Paste.
Right. And even then I was like, hang on a minute, I've left my corporate job. I should be happy. I'm running a business. Why isn't my business working? It still didn't feel right.
Yeah.
There has to be something more than this. Why are people running businesses this way?
Yes.
Fast forward a few years, I've done a few more different things. I've had a few more different Instagrams, started a few more different brands, and I'm finally sitting here with no business, practically. Like, I don't have a business.
Yeah.
But I'm so much closer to my purpose than I have ever been, because I've let go of needing to do it the way that I thought I should or I have to do it, the way that it's been modeled to me, to whether you're going to university to study to be something or getting a job or starting a business. It's like there's these rules and there's this path that you have to follow to be successful. And I always felt truly like I had to be someone else to be successful. I felt like I had to put on a mask to go to my corporate job. Like, I would be listening to this awesome spiritual podcast, driving to this corporate job, and then I'd get out of the car and I'd be like, right, shirt, yeah, okay, I've got to sit at my computer and I've got to be this,
do the things.
I'm a fucking robot.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to swear. And it felt the same in the online business world. I had to show up on Instagram and like wear this mask. And I truly felt like I had to be somebody else to find success. And it's only this year that I had an opportunity probably because Pluto is conjunct my sun, my natal sun. Pluto is like death and rebirth.
On point with timing.
Yeah. Pluto is sitting right on my sun, and Pluto was just telling me, just drop it all, put it all down. Drop the need to be an astrologer. I even was like, I need to be an astrologer. I need to do one-on-one readings. That's how astrologers make money. That's not how I make money. That's not how I want to run my business. And I kept getting these nudges that like, just put it all down and start from scratch. Do what you really, really want to do. Just build something that feels aligned to you. Mm. And it was like knowing myself through my natal chart, knowing my gifts, knowing where my soul is. This is how I describe purpose, right? Yeah. It's the threads of all my life experience when I sit and I look back at all of those little nudges, and I thought that there was something wrong with me. There actually wasn't anything wrong with me. It was my soul's resistance saying, don't do this job. This isn't right, love. You're not supposed to be here. Do something else. And that's why I was like drawn, like your desires are calling you. They're there. They're embedded in you for a reason.
Which is what we were talking about before, listening inwards.
Exactly.
To be, where's that intuition?
Exactly. The threads of all your life, your desires, and just knowing yourself, knowing your gifts, and working with people who can help reflect that back to you, and then beginning to operate from the inside out. And whether it be as dramatic as what mine was, where it was just like burn everything to the ground, it probably doesn't need to be that dramatic for everybody, but burn everything to the ground and start from scratch and just be like, how do I really want to do this? Because I'd spent 40 odd years doing it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And the only way for me to do that was to just stop and take a breath. And I feel like this whole year has been an initiation into that for me. And this is essentially what's birthed the Emerging Mystic. Because the Emerging Mystic is operating in this new way, a way that our purpose isn't a certification. No. It isn't like just studying astrology and becoming an astrologer in the cookie cutter way that you see on Instagram. It's studying astrology because it's a desire that's within you, or insert whatever certification you want there, or it's combining a whole bunch of different certifications and then asking yourself how it wants to be birthed through you. Do you want to be on Instagram? Do you want to have a podcast? Do you even want to be online at all? Do you want to just be in community? And it's like the endless ways and how privileged we are right now to be able to create something that doesn't need to be a certain way. Hey, this is Tara. This is part 1 of the first episode of this series of the broadcast, so you can continue listening to the rest of this conversation in part 2, which is already available on our channel. Thanks so much for listening. You can find links below to learn more about both mine and Sarah's work, and we'll see you in the next video.